Hello, 6Cs and receiving students. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, let's quickly revise on what we have learned in our previous lesson, lesson number 96. Now, who can tell me what were some of the things that you did in your previous lesson? Errors using tools. What were some of the things that you did in that particular lesson? Who can still remember? Mino? Receiving students, I'd like you to tell your teacher what were some of the things that you learned in your previous lesson. Loud and clear. You others follow through.
Venn diagram. Venn diagram.
Venn diagram. Good try, but I'm asking you, referring you back to lesson 96. What were some of the things that you did in that particular lesson? Onya? You should have them in your exercise books.
Patterns in numbers.
Patterns in numbers. Any others? Lorraine. Let's have last one from Lorraine.
Errors due to incompetence. Errors due to incompetence.
Okay, loud and clear again, Lorraine.
Errors due to incompetence.
Okay, very good. Errors due to incompetence. You are not very sure on how to measure certain things. That means you are incompetent. You don't have much knowledge about how to go about measuring things or weighing things. So these were some of the things that you learned in that particular lesson. So we should be always refer back to our notes, study through the notes so that you know what you are learning in those particular lessons, so that when you go to the other next lesson topic, it shouldn't be a problem. So in today's lesson, it is an introduction lesson, so I'd like you to pay attention very carefully so that you can really get what needs to be learned in the number of lessons that will come after that. So introduction lesson is always important. So whatever that you learn will be also applied in the other lessons that will come after the lesson that we will have today. So 6Cs and receiving students, our lesson topic for today is Introduction to Estimation. Quickly copy that note into your book or the topic. Let's define what is estimation. On the screen now, estimation is making a rough calculation of a problem. It is easier to estimate figures to one significant figure. So if you try to round a whole number 3 digits, you have to round it off first, or you estimate, do a rough calculation in your head, then you can do a normal addition or normal subtraction and so forth, which will come later. In today's lesson, you are estimating whole numbers, just certain numbers that you will be estimating. So that is the definition for estimation. We have rules that need to be applied when we are estimating. Estimating mainly, we are using our brain and try to figure out what is the closest number to the number that we are trying to estimate. So the first one is on the screen now. Look at the first number which is not 0. You cannot round 0. So always look at the first number which is not 0. You don't look at 0, but you have to look at a number that is more than 0. The third rule that we need to apply, add 1 to the first number if the second number is 5 or more. It's more or less like what you did in your lesson on rounding. You're rounding up and rounding down. Here we are talking about estimation. You are just thinking and looking at the numbers, and at the same time you estimate what could be the number closest to that. So it's a rough calculation. And the third rule that we need to apply, once you have made your estimation, don't forget you must always replace all numbers after the first number with 0. Let's now have a look at one learning activity that these rules have been applied to estimate those certain numbers. Okay, look at this very carefully. We will go through it together. It says, estimate these numbers. Okay, I have the first one here. Uva, what is the number that I need to estimate? Can you read out the figure? Quickly. What are the numbers that we need to estimate?
7.
What is the activity that we need to?
679.
Okay, very good. This is what we need to estimate. These are the numbers that we need to estimate. Using the rule now, we will try to estimate 679. What would be the number that can quickly come into our mind that we need to estimate? So the first number is 6 as shown in these figures. 2, the second number is more than 5. We have the second number here which is 7. 7 is greater than 5. So it becomes 700. That is when this rule comes in. Add 1 to the first number. So we add 1 to this to make it 7. And the fourth one, once you add 1 to 6, or it can be any other number, depending on the second number. If it's greater than 5, then you just add 1 and replace all the numbers after the first number with 0, like what is shown here. I have added 1 to 6, and 7 and 9 is no longer there. I have replaced it by putting to 0. So 679, if we are to estimate that, it would be 700. Are we following 60s and receiving students? It is just like you rounding up and rounding down. So here we are just making a rough calculation. But there is certain rules that we need to apply when we are trying to estimate these numbers. Okay, I'd like you to quickly estimate these numbers. 431. You can work in pairs or work in your groups. You are just thinking and then make a rough estimation. What would be the estimated figure? $431. Okay, let's go through that together. It's just thinking activity. You shouldn't be doing any writing at all. Let's have a look at these two numbers here, or the three numbers. In order for us to make a good estimation, let's look at the first and the second number. 3 is the second number in this figure. What can you say about 3? Is it greater than 5 or less than 5? Okay, if it's less than 5, then we keep the first number or the first figure 4 as it is, and we are going to change these two into 0. So we will quickly go through that together. Okay, the first number is 4. The second number is less than 5. So in this case, the second number is 3. It becomes 400. So if you have 400, put your hand up. It's just a practice. Put your hand up if you have 400. Okay, let's continue. We leave 4 as it is because 3 is less than 5. So when you are estimating, always look at the second number. Then you write down your estimated figure and then you state your reason why it is left alone and not changed. In the case of if the number is more than 5, you round it up, and if the number is less than 5, you leave it as it is. And don't forget, when we are estimating here in this case, always write the 0, which will replace the other numbers that come after the first number. Okay, you have 2 to do as practice also again. The second one we just did that so that I can go through the steps again with you. Now I'd like you to do these 2 as practice. Quickly estimate 374 and estimate 521. If you are finished, you sit up straight. Okay, can we go through the answers to those 2 practice examples? It should be straightforward, 60s and receiving students. Who have finished the first one? Madhu? Ken? Okay, let's listen to Ken. What was the estimated figure to the practice example C?
400.
Okay, Ken, can you tell the class why did you estimated that to 400?
Because 7 is greater than 5.
Very good. Put your hand up if you have 400. Okay, well done to those students. Those ones who are still confused, he stated his reason as to why he had it as 400 because he looked at the second figure, and the second figure is more than 5. That is why he added 1 to 3 to make it 4. And one of the rule is once you change the first figure you automatically have the other numbers as 0, or you add 0 to those in place of whatever numbers that are there. How about D? D, Milika? What was your estimated figure?
500.
Again, loud and clear.
500.
500, put your hand up if you have 500. Milika, why did you say it is 500?
Because 2 is less than 5.
Okay, very good, because 2 is less than 5, so she cannot round this number up, so it remains as 5. So these are the two answers to those two practice examples. Receiving students and 6s, C is 400 and D is 500. You will now go into your activity exercise, and you will be given 5 minutes to at least complete these 4 exercises. Okay, you are to estimate these numbers. So 6s and receiving students, I'd like you to start now. I'd like you to swap books with your friends. Or before we do that, I'd like you to put your hands up if you have actually finished those 4 exercises. Hands right up. Right up, right up. Hands down, thank you. Who needed a little bit of time again to complete his or her exercise? Okay, I will give another minute to those who haven't completed the exercise. Just 1 minute. Those who have finished, you just check through again to see that you have estimated your figures correctly. Okay, class and receiving students, we will now make corrections to those 4 exercises. I'd like you to quickly swap books to your friend sitting next to you so he or she will check your answer. So receiving students, you can swap your book with one of the students sitting next to you so that he or she can correct your work. So let's do that quickly now. Make sure that you are not holding on to your book. Okay, let's have the first answer to exercise 1A. Estimate 720. Read what is written in your friend's book. 6's and receiving students, we are now correcting exercise A. Sam, can you give us the first one? Sam, A. Loud and clear?
700.
Okay, 700. Why did you say 700? Why did you estimate it to 700?
Because the second number is less than 500. 5.
Again?
Because the because the second number is less than 5.
Okay, very good. Because the second number is less than 5. 2 is less than 5. That is why he estimated the figure to 700. Put a tick next to your friend's answer if it was 700. Thank you, Sam. Let's move on to B. Okay, let's have Newman. B, 395.
400.
Okay, Newman, why did you say it's 400?
Second number is higher than 5.
Again?
Second number is higher than 5.
Okay, because the second number is more than 5. Put your hand up if your friend have written 400. Okay, very good. Put a tick next to the answer. C. Come on, you others. C. Let's have Victoria.
One thousand.
Okay, why did you say it's 1,000?
Because 2 is less than 5.
Okay, because it's always the second number that you need to look at in order for you to make a good estimation. So 2 here in these figures is less than 5. So the number is estimated to 1,000. Correct. And the last one. Okay, let's have Robert.
$7,000.
7,000. Is it correct, 60s and receiving students? Do we have 7,000? Why did we have 7,000? Robert, why did you estimate that to 7,000?
Because the second number is less than 5.
Okay, very good. Because the second number is less than 5. So always remember 60s and receiving students, when you have such figures like this, 2 to 3 figures, always look at the second number and it will help you make your estimations correctly. So these are the answers to your 4 exercises: A 700, B 400, C 1000, and D 7000. So mark your friend's work out of 4 and give their books back. So those who are still confused on how to make estimation, please do ask for help so that we can give you more exercise to work on that. So to the receiving teacher, I'd like you to prepare some more extra work so that it can help the other students that still yet to really know how to make good estimations. So 67 receiving students, we will now go on to our summary point for today's lesson. Okay, your summary point is on the screen. To estimate, make rough calculation. And our key phrase for today's lesson is rough calculation. To the receiving teacher, our next lesson topic is on estimating sums. So you don't need to prepare anything. Exercises will be provided. So at least get the students to organize their books in a way where they'll be writing their sums and then adding them. So that would be our next lesson topic. With that, 60s and receiving students, we have come to the end of our lesson. Thank you very much for your participation.